What's going on, YouTube? So the Kia Sorento is one of the brand's longest running nameplates, and it has changed a lot over the years. And today we're with the latest 2026 version of this popular model. So, is this still a great pick for 2026 for those wanting a value-packed and stylish crossover? Well, let's go ahead and find out. Now, like always, let's get this review started with a quick spec dump. So under the hood, the Sorento will continue to be offered with 4 different powertrain options. We have the 2.5-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, making 281 horsepower. Now, this powertrain and its platform mate, the Hyundai Santa Fe, has moved to an 8-speed traditional automatic for 2026, but for 2026, the Sorento will keep the 8-speed dual-clutch automatic. Now, with all-wheel drive, the fuel economy is rated at 23 mpg combined.
The base price for 2026 is $32,000, and if you're looking to buy one or any new vehicle, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes to get the best price. Now, of course, later on, we're going to show you the performance of this powertrain. We're going to get things like our sound level reading on that drive, as well as discuss resale and reliability at the end.
But a big part of why people like the Sorento has long been the stylish design, so let's get into the exterior before we move on to the inside, which have an update. So jumping into the exterior design, like I was saying, this Sorento has always been very stylish, especially in the latest generation and especially since its most recent refresh. So you'll notice up in the front, you've got the latest Kia design elements, including their tiger nose grille. There's going to be a lot of variations of this model. There's a ton of trim levels. Plus, on most of those trims, you can add the X-Line package, and then the top model can also add the X Pro. So you've got a lot of variations. We have the SX with X-Line, so that means we're going to have some gloss black finishes, sportier elements, and then a little bit of a more rugged look down here at the bottom. By the way, you've got 8.2 inches of ground clearance with all-wheel drive. And let's move over here to our headlights. So we've got a beautiful stacked crystal LED design. This is standard equipment actually on all Sorentos. And of course, you've got those signature really large daytime running light and turn signal indicators that Kias are known for in the amber color. Down here at the bottom, if you get an EX trim or above, that will give you the LED fog lights. As we move around to the back, the design definitely walks the line between sophisticated and also a little bit rugged.
Yeah, and as far as individual design touches, we have a spoiler, a wiper is integrated underneath. All of our branding is going to be blacked out, which I think looks really nice. And then as far as our taillights, we have the up-level taillight unit. That comes on this SX model and above, and that will include your LED brake light and LED turn signal indicator. Your reverse lighting is still going to be incandescent. As we drop down to the lower fascia, all of this is a gloss black. As far as your tow rating, that's 3,500 pounds for this model. It's 2,000 pounds for the hybrids.
Now moving on to the wheels, they vary in size from 17-inch alloys to 20-inch alloys. We have the 20-inch alloys, and there's, again, a ton of different designs as well as finishes depending on which combination of trim and packages you put together. These have a very boxy-looking design with the squared-off center section and Kia logo. Now, another thing that changes, depending on which trim selections, is the fact that we have a matte black wheel arch surround and lower moldings. You can get these in gloss black if you prefer. And then up here, you have a little bit of an accent as well. We've got the gloss black finish for our mirrors. And in terms of the technology, you have heating and blind spot monitoring. We also have power folding on the SX trim and above.
Now, as far as overall vehicle length, it comes in at 189 inches, and for design, there's a lot going on. We have blacked out window surrounds, and since we have the X-Line, that means we have the bridge-style roof rails up top. I think it looks really good, especially when you pick this Road Rider brown paint color. This is a phenomenal-looking paint color in person. Now, for your safety systems, Kia knows this is a family vehicle. They are including all of the active safety features as standard equipment. That will include things like adaptive cruise control. Additionally, if you choose the EX trim or above, that will throw in Highway Drive Assist 1.0, and SX Prestige gets you Highway Drive Assist 2.0. But guys, there is a big interior change that we need to talk about for 2026. But first, if you're new here, we're brothers, and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We started young, and since then we have reviewed over 2,000 vehicles at every price point.
No matter what you're looking for, from humble to high-end, we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family.
Let's learn a lot and have some fun with all the latest cars. Now it's time to move to the interior. First, we'll look at the key fob. This is the latest version of the Kia key fob. You have standard smart entry and standard remote start, which is a nice touch. As we approach the vehicle, the mirror will go ahead and fold outward on the approach there, and you can just press that button to unlock the door. Now, let's check out the interior. There is an update that's fairly prominent. Can you spot it? I won't tell you what it is just yet because we need to talk about the seats. So on this model, you're going to start with cloth seats on just your base model. All the center trims come with a leatherette seat. And then if you move to the top end model, that's where you get the real leather seating, and that's going to give you diamond quilting as well to kind of elevate that above. Now, as far as these seats, like I said, nice finish to these. Overall, some perforations, some stitching. You have a couple different choices, but really if you want the most kind of fancy looking color schemes, you will have to choose the SX Prestige. Also, in terms of your adjustment, the SX Prestige will move you up to a 14-way power adjusting seat instead of this 10-way power adjusting seat. And it will also give you memory seats. Well, let's go ahead and climb inside. And shutting up the door, we'll look at the overall materials. So it is a nicely finished space, especially on an upper end example like we have today. The SX gets the leatherette finish all through here, including the arm grab and a stitched leatherette detail behind there. It's a soft touch plastic along the top, and this version also gets a faux wood trim, which you'll see reflected both on the door trim as well as all across the dashboard. This does vary depending on which trim level you select. Soft touch plastic at the top there with a stitching detail. And then as we move down, to the lower section here, no padding along the console, and it does have a piano black finish over most of the surfaces. So we'll fire it up now with our standard push button start. So jumping into some individual details, we'll start with the gauge cluster. Of course, you've got that new dual 12.3-inch arrangement. That really goes for all the models, except that you have a lot more customizability on your upper end example. So if you choose the SX trim or above, the full 12.3 inches is reconfigurable instead of just that center section. That's also where you will get the blind spot camera system added on. Just be aware that on the gas-powered Sorentos for 2026, you still don't have a head-up display, even on the loaded model, which is something that the smaller Sportage has added for 2026. Now, let's move back here to our 2026 updates. So, if you guys guessed it earlier, here it is. It's a new steering wheel design. We've seen this on some of the most recent Kias. They have brought it now for the 2026 Sorento. And overall, it's a pretty nice look. So it's a little bit flat on the bottom and the top. It also has a thick rim, a little bit more sturdy feeling, I think, versus the 2025 model. Of course, though, you know, if the off-center logo bothers you, you might want to go ahead and head to your Kia dealership and get the 2025 model because it does have the off-center logo and it does have some additional piano black there that might get a little dirty. Now, the wheel itself is manual tilt and telescoping across the range. It's heated on the SX trim. The SX also gives you rain-sensing wipers. Opening up our center console here, you're going to notice we've got a lot of donuts inside. That's because at Car Confections, we have the donut as our logo, and we load them inside of the center console so we can compare to the competition. I'm very impressed today to tell you that this has 17 donuts inside, which is a very good number for this segment of SUV. It's deceptively deep. Now up in front of that, you have a little bit of storage there, 2 cup holders, large bin in the front. This also has a wireless phone charging pad on the vast majority of models. Taking a look at our shifter, we've got the classic T shifter. This is on your gas-powered models. Your hybrid examples will have a rotary shifter instead. Pull back for drive, bump over here to the left if you want to shift manually. No paddles on the steering wheel, though. When we go into reverse, here's our backup camera. We have the upgraded 360 camera because we have the SX trim and above. Also, you have your 360 view that you can spin all around the vehicle if you like. And then right behind the shifter, you have your electronic parking brake. You also have an auto brake hold function. And then there's the button there to turn on your heated steering wheel as well as adjust your drive modes. Now, one pretty minor observation we're making right now is the fact that some of these buttons here have actually shifted around. So noticing that the heated steering wheel, it used to be on the steering wheel itself, now it's down here, which meant that the auto start stop button is shifted over here to this side instead. And they've also rearranged this button here to make room for what we now have is a terrain mode. So that's a new feature that you can kind of press down on that. And they've been integrating that kind of across many Hyundai and Kia products this year. Now, let's take a look next up at our climate control panel. So we've got a dual zone automatic setup on almost every single model except for the base example. You can just twist that knob there to make your adjustment up and down. You have some touch sensitive buttons over here. And then in terms of your seat controls, those are in a separate location with a physical button. Heated seats are on all but the base trim. Ventilated seats begin on the SX trim. Now, the thing about this console area is, of course, you've probably seen this on other products. You press that button there, and then suddenly your climate controls turn into your audio controls. So in this case, we have a 12-speaker Bose sound system that's included on your upper examples, and we'll give it a sample right now. Overall sound quality is pretty good. It's certainly a notable upgrade over the standard 6-speaker sound system. Okay, so we'll jump in next to our infotainment system. As I already mentioned, it's a dual screen arrangement. This side is also 12.3 inches, and it runs the latest Kia and Hyundai software. It's called CCNC. So what that means basically is that you have kind of snappier performance than what you previously had. Also, you have wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay across all of the trim levels. We also have the built-in navigation system since this is a higher-end example. Up top, many of your models will get the auto-dimming mirror with HomeLink universal remotes. And then we've got a panoramic sunroof. So Kia is including this now on your EX X-Line and above, so you don't have to go all the way up to a fully loaded model to get it. And as you can see, you have a sunshade as well as the front panel opening up.
And now it's time to talk about the rear seat area of the Sorento. Now, this has always been a great area that will continue for 2026. Let's start with space figures first and foremost. 41.7 inches of legroom, 39 inches of headroom. That really makes it larger than almost any other option in the segment. The Hyundai Santa Fe is right around this size. However, it's bigger than Murano and other options that you may be looking at. Of course, we looked at the official Car Confections ruler as well because that gives us our knee room figure. So the seat is adjusted to Drew, who is 5'8". I'm 5'9" for reference. This seat is slid all the way back, and I'm sitting at 8.5 inches of knee room. That is really good. My feet can also slide up underneath of the seat. And speaking of sliding, I can slide this seat all the way to be touching the front, which is really nice for a child seat or whatever. And then you can also slide it all the way back and recline a great distance as well. So this is a really comfortable second row seat. You may notice that we have captain's chairs on this model. That's included on EX, X-Line, and above. And, you have the nice armrest as well as these little pockets to store things on the side. As far as other features, we have rear vents right here in the center area, 2 USB ports in each seat back, a 12-volt outlet down here at the bottom. And then if you look over at the door trim, it's going to be a nicely appointed one. We have rear window sunshades. Additionally, the door trim itself is made of nice materials with the faux wood, leatherette all through the center section and on the armrest portion. And one of the things I really like about it is that you have a ton of storage for bottles. So as you can see, we have a bottle right up here in the top. We also have room for a really good sized bottle as well in this lower section. So there's going to be tons of cup holders in this car. I do also want to point out if you want heated back seats, you can get that on the SX Prestige. And in order to get back into the third row, all you have to do is press this button right here. That's going to electronically kind of tilt and slide the seat up and out of the way. And it makes for a relatively easy entry into the third row itself. Speaking of the third row, I mean, it's honestly pretty uncommon still for this segment of vehicle to have a third row, so I'm very happy to tell you that the Sorento does have that feature. And as far as the space figures are concerned, you're sitting at a little less than 30 inches of legroom. The headroom is not going to be fantastic. As you can see, my head is scraping the ceiling. It's about 35 inches of headroom. But overall, it's not terrible for a third row. I brought the ruler back here as well, and I have about an inch of knee space to spare, even with this seat slid all the way back, and my feet can slide up underneath of the seat. Really, the main thing I have an issue with is the thigh support. It's not great here in the Sorento. There are two seats back here. They're pretty comfortable. You have a cup holder, a little storage cubby, a USB port, and you do additionally have a pretty decent sized window back here. No vents or anything, so that's something to keep in mind. And then as far as how this rates on the third row rating scale, I'm going to say this is fit for kids. Walking up to the tailgate, you have a hands-free Power 1 on EX trims and above. And I do want to mention overall seating capacity as well. This is 6-passenger on this model today. You can get up to 7-passenger seating on this model. Now, as far as the cargo figures are concerned, you'll be pretty happy with these as well. So we're sitting at about 13 cubic feet behind the third row of seats, 38 cubic feet with those seats folded down, and has a maximum around 76 cubic feet. Those are good numbers. In order to fold the third row, we're not going to have a power folding setup or anything, but you can easily do it with those straps right there. And then I'm really happy to tell you that there are buttons on the side to electronically fold the second row of seats as well, so you can easily just fold those down with a press of a button to give you that maximum cargo capacity. Now, if you're curious as to how this might compare in areas like cargo capacity as well as other areas such as interior technology, powertrain experience, luxury features, safety, resale reliability, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/vehicle rankings. We've looked at all the options in this very crowded space and ranked them in those individual categories so you can rank based on the things that are most important to you. So definitely use that if you want to make an informed buying decision. Now back to the Sorento, we have a little bit of extra space underneath of here. We additionally include a spare tire for the gas model. And let's get our cargo length, width, and height figures. And now that we've got them folded completely flat, the cargo length behind Drew's 5'8" driving position is sitting at 79 inches. From behind the second row of seats with them folded or slid all the way back, 41 inches of length. And then from behind the third row, expect about 15 inches of length. As far as the opening, that's 43 inches wide, and then overall height comes in pretty good at 30 inches. See the load-in height as well. That's going to be coming in at about 33 inches for your load-in height. Well guys, here we are behind the wheel of the 2026 Kia Sorento. In this test drive, we're going to be discussing quite a lot, as you can see on the screen right now. We'll also be getting things like our sound level reading, but first we need to start with a hard acceleration.
Alright, there's our acceleration to 60 miles an hour. Like we were mentioning with the spec dump at the beginning, this vehicle has 4 different powertrains. Kia has long had a very diverse arrangement when it comes to the Sorento, giving you kind of whatever choices that match your lifestyle the best. Most people are probably going to walk away from the dealership with what we have right now because it's available in the widest assortment of trim levels. It's a 2.5-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. It has 283 horsepower and 311 pound-feet of torque. So as you can probably tell from that acceleration, power figures are quite good. Even though this does have 3 rows, traditionally in the segment Sorento competes in, you usually just have 2 rows, and for this size category, that's plenty of power.
Yeah, absolutely. It really pushes you back in your seat, the torque figure especially. And what about the other powertrains? Well, you can see all of those on the screen right now. You're going to start with a just naturally aspirated 2.5-liter 4-cylinder on your lower end examples, and then you have a hybrid as well as a plug-in hybrid. So one of the things I really love about this car is that you just have the choice. You have so many different powertrains to choose from, so really whatever meets your need best, Kia is offering. And I think this is a great middle ground between all of those powertrains.
Now, we talked a little bit about this at the beginning as well, but This is kind of a sibling to Hyundai's Santa Fe. And one thing to note is that you get 2 additional powertrain choices with this model versus the Santa Fe, including a plug-in hybrid. So if the plug-in hybrid specifically is something you're looking for, then this is going to be your choice over the Santa Fe. Now, as far as the transmission situation is concerned, almost each one of those powertrains has a different one. So as far as the 2.5T, that has the 8-speed dual-clutch automatic transmission. Now, going back to the Santa Fe, like we said, they did switch that out for 2026 for traditional automatic, but this for 2026 keeps the dual-clutch. In terms of the performance of this transmission, it's pretty good. The shift's really quick, especially when you're accelerating hard. That's one of the big benefits of a dual clutch, is that you have fast shifts, and it also, because of that, usually improves the fuel economy versus a traditional automatic transmission. Now, will you be able to tell that it has a dual clutch? Maybe at times. You know, there's a little bit of lurchiness in traffic and stuff. That's to be expected from a dual clutch, so just be aware of that. And if you get any of the other versions with the other transmissions, those will have traditional automatics.
Now, power is going to be routed to the ground via the front wheels or optional all-wheel drive. And then let's discuss fuel economy. So there are a lot of different fuel economies, as you might expect. What we're sitting at with the 2.5 turbo all-wheel drive is 23 mpg combined. That's pretty good. The standard 4-cylinder engine will get you about 24 mpg with all-wheel drive, and then the hybrid's going to be pretty good at 34 or 36 mpg. So once again, depending on your needs, if you want the extra fuel economy boost, maybe look at the hybrid or the plug-in hybrid. And we're on our designated highway portion to get things like our sound level reading. So let's go ahead and see how quiet the Sorento is. Very good. 52.9 decibels is what we are sitting at as our sound level reading in the Kia Sorento. Now, we don't have to sit here and guess how it compares to the rivals. We can find that at carconfections.com/sound level readings. And indeed, that is extremely quiet for the segment. That is going to be right up there with the very quietest options in the entire segment. That's not surprising because the Kia Sorento has always really tested good every single year, and this is a very quiet cabin. Also, nicely to go along with that quiet cabin is really great ride quality. The Sorento is a very comfort-oriented vehicle that continues for 2026. Even with the larger wheels on the outside, it lets in, very minimal intrusions in the cabin. The seats are nice and comfortable as well. I could see you easily just taking this on a road trip and being very comfortable. Is it quite as comfortable as the Telluride? Not quite, but still very good. Now, what's our airball and slam dunk, our least favorite and favorite element about the Sorento? Drew, why don't you kick us off with the slam dunk?
The slam dunk is going to be the value. That's always been something that Sorento has absolutely nailed. It just seems like you get so much for the money, even on your lower examples, your top examples, all of them really in the trim lineup give you so much. Plus, I feel like they've really kept this up to date over the years.
Yeah. Now, on the airball side, speaking of 2026 changes, one of the areas that we wish they had updated, kind of like the Santa Fe, would be the transmission. Not necessarily because this 8-speed dual clutch is a terrible transmission for this specific, example. I just think it could have been better to have the 8-speed automatic, not only for just smoothness driving around the city, but also for, potential reliability concerns. Now let's talk pricing. So for 2026, prices do rise a little bit, but it's only about $500, so a pretty negligible price increase this year. $32,000 is your base price for the LX trim. There are a ton of different trim levels. You can see them all on the screen right now. There's also the hybrid versions and the plug-in hybrids as well. What we have today is the 2026 Sorento X-Line SX 2.5T all-wheel drive. $43,890 is our base price. We have optional floor mats as well as $1,445 destination. All told, we're sitting at $45,570 as tested today. As far as where this vehicle is assembled, it is final assembly in West Point, Georgia, so in the U.S. If you're looking to buy a Kia Sorento or any new vehicle, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. The reason you do that is because we have a tool on our website that'll connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool to use while negotiating. If you'd like to take advantage of that, as well as things like our monthly payment tool, you can find a link to that in our video description, as well as a pinned comment down below. But buying a car is about more than just the original price, so let's talk about resale and reliability. First up, let's talk about resale value. As an economics graduate myself, we took the time to develop what we think is a good estimate for this Sorento's potential resale value. We estimate that after 5 years and 60,000 miles, it'll be worth 49.02% of original MSRP, and after 10 years and 120,000 miles, 21.1%. Now, it's worth noting those are right at industry average for all vehicle brands. However, it would be less than some of your Japanese rivals, such as Honda, Toyota, Subaru, and Mazda.
We also did the same thing by making the Combined Reliability Index. This takes into account several reliability studies from trustworthy sources and combines them in a way that gives you a holistic picture. When you take all that into account with the latest information, Kia is rated above the overall industry average for all vehicle brands.
Now, if you'd like to learn more about our resale values, our reliability data, or our methodology, be sure to go to carconfections.com/resale and carconfections.com/reliability. Buying a new vehicle is a big decision, so you want to make sure you're making a smart purchase, especially if you're cross-shopping between different vehicle brands. When it comes to your warranty, you do have a very good one. It's a 5-year, 60,000-mile basic warranty, a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Kia does not do complimentary maintenance. And guys, that wraps up our in-depth review of the 2026 Kia Sorento. If you enjoyed learning about all the 2026 changes and about this model in general, we'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, you're going to be a part of our Car Confections family. We have a lot of fun on this channel, and I promise you won't want to miss out. If you're already a part of our family, thank you so much for your continued support. You make this all possible. And we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.